I'm Councillor Dr. Jaron. I'm Mayor of Sandwell Metropolitan Borough Council. Once again, we reach that time of year when we remember those members of our armed forces who fell and died in times of war, who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country and its people. Normally, we'd mark this occasion with crowds at the war memorials around Sandwell, with parades and a festival of remembrance. This year, unfortunately, we're unable to remember the fallen in this way, but that does not mean our respect has waned. It must not. The Great War killed some 20 million combatants, a senseless slaughter of a whole generation of mainly young men. Second World War killed far more combatants and civilians. We have lost many more members of our armed forces since in numerous wars across the globe. We are unable to commemorate these tragic losses in ceremonies attended by so many over the last 100 years because we are fighting a new battle, the tiny yet deadly enemy of COVID-19. Perhaps then, this year we should take the opportunity to remember that the sacrifice did not end with the armistice on the 11th of November 1918. Those troops who survived the artillery and bullets were also dying of disease, partly because of the appalling conditions they endured, and partly because of a new and very deadly strain of influenza virus, dubbed Spanish flu because that's where it was first described properly, but evidence suggests that it had been around all over Europe for at least a year before that. As these exhausted men boarded their trucks and ships to go home, they took with them this dangerous virus. Those already sick were sent to hospitals where many died. There was no active treatment, just overcrowded makeshift hospitals, some to be looked after until they recovered or died. The 1919 flu pandemic is estimated to have killed some 20 to 50 million people, at least as many and probably more than the Great War itself. Even at the lower end of this estimate, it was far more deadly than that which faces us now. And so, I ask you to observe the 2-minute silence together by your radio, your TV, or on your doorstep. I ask you to wear your poppy with pride, and maybe put up pictures of poppies next to the rainbows in your front windows. I ask you to do everything you can to minimise the spread of COVID-19. And remember that just over 100 years ago, a different coronavirus continued to slaughter those who had already given so very much. Above all, I ask you never to forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. We will remember them.